Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Coleman, Senior Business Development Officer at Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, and I want to welcome you to our Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative webinar. Our mission statement here at the agency: for the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency has diligently pursued its mission to foster community and economic development and making the Commonwealth a better place to live. We provide the capital for decent, safe, and affordable homes and apartments for older adults, persons of modest means, and those with special housing needs. We work with housing counseling agencies, local lending institutions, realtors, and other public and private organizations. Through the years, we've gained the experience necessary to be effective in PA communities by providing services and programs that expand and protect homeownership and stabilize urban and rural neighborhoods. Our overview for today's webinar: we're going to look at a brief history of PHFA, and then we'll get into the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. We also refer to this as CHCI. This consists of 3 workshops. So we'll talk about our pre-purchase educational workshop, our anti-predatory lending and foreclosure prevention workshop, and our Fair Housing, Fair Lending, Get the Facts workshop. Then we'll get into the one-on-one counseling. So our pre-closing counseling for a PHFA loan, pre-purchase one-on-one counseling. We'll look at credit and budget counseling, default and delinquency counseling, our non-default and delinquency counseling, mediation and diversion counseling. We'll get into our financial education and coaching initiative, which consists of workshops and coaching. We'll look at client file documentation, payment and billing instructions, and then we'll close by talking about the HUD certification.
So, PHFA was created by general legislation back in 1972. We provide single-family as well as multifamily housing. Our mortgage loans are purchased from lenders, as Fannie Mae does for the nation, and we do have a mortgage revenue bond program, which are sold to private investors. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. You'll hear us refer to this as CHCI for short. But this is the initiative where we get, on average, $2 million from our board of directors on an annual basis to distribute throughout our housing counseling network in order for you all to be able to do the housing counseling and provide the housing counseling in the communities that you serve. You can see the purpose of this initiative is it serves to bring tangible improvements to communities addressing specific housing priorities, such as expanding homeownership, increasing minority homeownership, fighting practices of predatory lending, helping homeowners save their homes from foreclosure, increasing housing opportunities for the elderly and disabled, and increasing homeownership opportunities in rural communities. So as we get into the initiative, you'll see we'll talk about workshops, and we'll talk about the one-on-one counseling that is available. We do have several workbooks and brochures and guides that are available to you that you can order and provide to, again, individuals in your community. We have a few examples of these on our screen here. And all these resources can be ordered directly from our Counselor's Corner site. So once you're on Counselor's Corner, if you click on the Resources and Forms tab, click on Miscellaneous, you'll see our brochure order request form. So if you just fill this out, indicate the number of each brochure that you're looking to have us send to you. To order these brochures, it's all free. You'll send this into our program coordinator, Jakia, and then you'll receive the materials in 7 to 10 business days. Okay? So Jakia's information is right here on the form, and again, you can get a copy of this form off of the Counselor's Corner site. So the CHCI course offerings. So there's several webinars that are available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative that really help you with this initiative as well. So we have our RX Office webinar, the CHCI webinar that you're taking right now. We have our PHFA, FHA Mortgage Programs at a Glance webinar, our Standard Solutions webinar, and then our HEMAP webinar. And then we also have a best practices to protect your client's privacy webinar. All of these webinars can be found on our Counseling Division YouTube page, and you can watch them on demand whenever you are available. Homebuyer education is something that we strongly believe in here at the agency. It's required for any homebuyer when their lowest middle FICO score is below a 680. It must be completed before loan closing through one of our PHFA-approved counseling agencies. And if the counseling session cannot be completed before closing, at times there may be a 30-day extension that may be granted. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at everything that's really under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. We're going to start with the workshops that are available to you. First workshop that's available to you is our pre-purchase educational workshop. So this workshop is a 4-hour workshop, and you do have an additional 4 hours of one-on-one counseling that is available to you after this workshop is complete. You must have 7 households in attendance in order to bill us for this workshop. And our definition of a household is, let's say you have 2 spouses from the same household that are attending the workshop. Okay, that would only count as 1 household. So you must have 7 households in attendance in order to bill us for the pre-purchase educational workshop. You must invite one of PHFA's participating lenders to help facilitate the workshop, and reimbursement for this particular workshop is $500. Now, in order to be reimbursed, you're going to submit an invoice indicating the number of workshops completed during the course of the month. With that invoice, you're going to include a sample of any advertisement or flyer that you used, as well as a sign-in sheet with the participating lender's signature, the name of the financial institution, and a place to print and sign each attendee's name. Each potential homebuyer that attends your workshop must complete a self-assessment form. At the conclusion of the workshop, you also must provide them with a pre-purchase educational seminar certificate. Now, if you don't want to do all 4 hours together, that's fine. You can split the workshop up however you would like. So you could do 4 one-hour sessions, you could do 2 two-hour sessions, or you could do 1 4-hour session. It's totally up to you and your agency. You just cannot bill us here at PHFA until the entire 4 hours has been complete. So back to Counselor's Corner, if you click on the Resources and Forms tab, followed by Miscellaneous, here's where you'll find that self-assessment form that you just heard me mention that all participants that attend this workshop must complete. So the self-assessment form here is a preview of it. It's basically a tool to help the individual that's attending your workshop, helps them self-assess and see where they're currently at in their financial situation. So you can see there's a series of yes and no questions they would complete. They're going to indicate some information regarding their current financial situation. And then it gives you a snapshot of where they're currently at. Now, there's a few unit session topics that you're going to want to cover during this workshop. So you can see unit session 1, you're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of home ownership. So what are some of the advantages? What are the financial benefits? But also, what are some of the disadvantages? You'll get into budget planning and record keeping, so income accountability, maintaining an expense record, analyzing spending records and making adjustments, and then credit report review and analysis. You'll also discuss mortgage qualifying, so what are the eligibility requirements? What are some credit and employment issues that the individual should be aware of? You'll review their debt and income and their ratio worksheet. You'll discuss PMI with them, and then talk to them about, are they ready to become a homeowner? You want to make sure that you're using the HUD resource guide, and that's going to be the Shopping for Your Home 33 Answers. Okay, unit session 2, you'll talk about beginning the purchase process. You'll get into the loan application process, and then closing the real estate transaction. Potential home buyers that attend the workshop must receive a copy of the following HUD documents. So you must give them the 4-year protection, get a home inspection, as well as the 10 important questions to ask a home inspector form. Again, you want to make sure you're using the HUD Resource Guide, Shopping for Your Loan, 33 Answers. So back to Counselor's Corner, if you click on the Training tab followed by Manuals, we have a whole section that's dedicated to HUD. And then this is where you'll find, some of those handouts that you just heard me refer to that you must give each attendee. So the 4-year protection, get a home inspection form, as well as the 10 important questions to ask your home inspector. Okay, so unit sessions 3 and 4, you're going to get into taking possession of your home. So what are some priorities that the individual should think about now that they're a new homeowner? You'll talk about financial emergencies, home repair and maintenance, improving their budgeting and money management skills. You'll talk to them about lead paint concerns, predatory lending practices, and then comparison shopping for a home equity loan. Okay, so that is the first workshop, our pre-purchase workshop, that's available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. The second workshop that's available to you is the Anti-Predatory Lending and Foreclosure Prevention Workshop. Okay, so this one here must be conducted in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Again, you must have 7 households in attendance to be reimbursed, and reimbursement for this workshop is going to be $250. You must include a discussion on both topics and incorporate either YouTube video. So again, the topics are going to be the anti-predatory lending as well as the foreclosure prevention. And the YouTube videos are going to be predatory lending, don't be scammed, or buried by debt, the dangers of borrowing. You also must incorporate the anti-predatory lending and foreclosure prevention workbook into your workshop. Okay? If you need guidance in setting up this workshop or any additional information, you can feel free to reach out to anyone in the counseling division, and we can provide you with the assistance that you may need. You're going to get into what is predatory lending, general characteristics of predatory lending. You'll talk about predatory lending practices, general characteristics of your victims, and then some basic principles. Topics for your foreclosure prevention part will be what happens if I do not make a mortgage payment? What should you do? What are some alternatives to foreclosure that they should consider or think about? Should they be aware of anything else? And then important points to remember. Reimbursement, again, for this workshop is going to be $250. To be reimbursed, you must submit an invoice indicating the number of workshops completed during the course of the month. You want to include a sample of any advertisement or flyer that you use, as well as a sign-in sheet for each workshop with a place to print and sign each attendee's name. Okay, the third workshop that's available to you under our Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative is the Fair Housing, Fair Lending, Get the Facts workshop. This workshop must be conducted in 1 hour and 30 minutes. You must have 7 households in attendance in order to bill, and reimbursement for this workshop is going to be $250 as well. You must incorporate the following YouTube video in the workshop. So that's going to be the Fair Housing and Disability, Reasonable Accommodations. You also must incorporate the following handouts. So that Don't Be a Victim of Loan Fraud, Are You a Victim of Housing Discrimination, and the Fair Housing Equal Opportunity for All. It's the same thing here. If you need additional guidance or help in setting up this workshop, please feel free to reach out to us in the counseling division, and we can provide you with that guidance and support that you may need. Okay, on Counselor's Corner, if you click on the Training tab followed by Manuals, you'll find the Fair Housing, Fair Lending, Get the Facts section. So here you can find the resources and the tools that you just heard me mention that you're going to need in providing this workshop. Topics, so you're going to talk about the Fair Housing Act. You'll get into additional protections under the law, acts that are prohibited under the law. You'll get into fair lending facts, what is a mortgage, types of mortgages. You'll look at your Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform, and then how to file a discrimination complaint. Again, reimbursement for this workshop is going to be $250. To be reimbursed, you must submit an invoice indicating the number of workshops completed during the course of the month. You're going to include a sample of any advertisement or flyer that you used, as well as a sign-in sheet for each workshop with a place to print and sign each attendee's name. Okay, so those are the 3 workshops that are available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. We looked at the pre-purchase workshop. We looked at the anti-predatory lending and foreclosure prevention workshop. And then we looked at our fair housing, fair lending workshop. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about some of the one-on-one counseling that is available to you under this initiative. So up first, we have pre-closing counseling. So pre-closing counseling is going to be counseling that's associated with the approval of one of our PHFA loans. You need a signed referral form from one of our PHFA participating lenders. And this is going to be required for any home buyer when their lowest middle FICO score is below a 680. This counseling session is 1 session, up to 2 hours, and it can be provided either individually or in a group setting. Reimbursement is going to be $100 per hour per potential home buyer that is on the note and is being counseled. So for example, if you do have a husband and wife, they're both on the note, then you could bill $100 for each up to a max of 2 hours, which would be a total of $400. Okay, so there's 4 main topics that should be covered in the pre-closing counseling for a PHFA loan. So the first is your budgeting and money management. Second is going to be applying for a mortgage, which you'll get into the loan approval process, a review of the residential loan forms. You'll take a look at the closing disclosure and the loan estimate. You'll go through the approval process, the commitment letter, dealing with rejection, anti-predatory lending, and then the lender's responsibilities. You'll get into closing preparation. So here you'll talk about requirements, a full explanation of the closing docs, review of the settlement statement, your homeowner's insurance, your hazard insurance, your title. You'll look at the closing costs and have a discussion around those with the potential borrower. And then you'll look at the allocation of costs to both the buyer and the seller. Final topic area for pre-closing counseling is going to be living in and maintaining your home. Here you'll talk about planning ahead for moving day, priorities of the new homeowner. You'll get into home repair and maintenance, improving money and money management. Okay, each potential home buyer, again, must complete the self-assessment form, and at the completion of the pre-closing counseling, the potential home buyer must be provided with a pre-closing certificate. Okay, so that is the first type of one-on-one counseling that's available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. The second is our pre-purchase one-on-one counseling. Pre-purchase one-on-one counseling is where you have a minimum of 4 hours of counseling. You must bill on 1 hour increments here, so you want to keep that in mind. Now, this can be provided as a standalone function or as an extension of the workshop. And here you're going to provide information on the following. So an assessment of the family's housing needs, determining the eligibility for the first-time home buyer programs. You'll talk about the role of credit in the home buying process, conduct an affordability analysis. You'll provide assistance in getting pre-qualified for a mortgage loan, and then you'll help develop an action plan. At the completion of the counseling, the potential homebuyer must be provided with a certificate of completion. Reimbursement here is going to be $100 per hour, up to a max of 4 hours, and this is per household. And while we still are under our temporary remote counseling provisions due to the COVID pandemic, we are allowing remote counseling. So remote counseling is allowed with the pre-purchase one-on-one counseling.
Okay, now we're going to take a look at our credit and budget one-on-one counseling. This is counseling for both home buyers and homeowners. So it allows you the ability to work with a client in any tier. So there's no tier restrictions for moving forward. However, a tier is still required. So you must select a tier in the ARC's office system. But now with credit and budget one-on-one counseling, you can work with any type of client, home buyers and homeowners. Okay? So here you're going to provide information on budget and money management skills, credit report analysis and repair, the development of an action plan and savings plan. Each potential home buyer must complete the self-assessment form. Reimbursement is going to be $100 per hour up to a max of 8 hours for each potential home buyer. So now with credit and budget one-on-one counseling, you have $100 per hour that you can be reimbursed for up to 8 hours. Next, we have our default and delinquency one-on-one counseling. So this is going to be counseling for consumers who are homeowners. It must be face-to-face counseling. If telephone counseling is prohibited. As long as we still fall under our temporary remote counseling provisions due to the COVID pandemic, we are allowing remote counseling. So as long as we're still under those provisions, you can do the remote counseling with the default and delinquency one-on-one counseling. Your topics include, but are not limited to, so improving budget and money management skills, credit report analysis and repair, default and delinquency counseling, development of an action plan and savings plan, and then referrals to appropriate agencies/partners as necessary. Effective July 1st of 2023, you have up to 8 hours that you can bill under our default and delinquency one-on-one counseling. You must bill in 1 hour increments, and your reimbursement is going to be $100 per hour up to a max of 8 hours. Next is our non-default and delinquency one-on-one counseling. So with our non-default delinquency one-on-one counseling, this is counseling for consumers who are homeowners. Must be face-to-face counseling. So again, as long as we're still under our temporary remote counseling provisions, we still are allowing the remote counseling. Topics here, so your non-default delinquency one-on-one counseling. So you can talk about home maintenance, home improvement, financial management, rights and responsibilities of a homeowner. Okay? So this is counseling that should be done before the individual would face, some type of default or delinquency. So these topics here are very important.
So your topics under the Mediation and Diversion Initiative would be credit report analysis and repair, additional default and delinquency counseling that would need to be completed, the development of an action plan and savings plan, and then improving budgeting and money management skills. Again, here you have up to 4 hours. You must bill in 1 hour increments, and your reimbursement is going to be $100 per hour up to the max of 4 hours. Okay, now we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about some more workshops. We're going to get into our financial education and coaching initiative, which is our newest initiative here at PHFA. And this consists first of our pre-purchase financial education workshop. So a lot of you have individuals in your community that may not even be thinking about buying a home. They may need help with basic, financial matters to really help them build that solid financial foundation. And that is the purpose of the pre-purchase financial education workshop. It's a 6-hour workshop, and it consists of 4 different sections. So you can see section 1 is on goals, assets, and earnings. Section 2 is all around spend, save, and invest. Section 3 is reviewing taxes, managing risk, and protecting your money. Section 4 is how to get, use, and manage credit. Your topics here can be presented in more than one session, and they do not have to be presented in the order listed to more readily accommodate lender participation. So reimbursement for this workshop is $750. You must have 7 or more households in attendance in order to bill. To be reimbursed, you must submit a copy of the CHCI workshop invoice, include a sample of any advertisement or flyer that you used, as well as a sign-in sheet. Each potential homebuyer must complete a self-assessment form, and at the conclusion of the workshop, you must give them a certificate of completion. You can use your own curriculum if approved by PHFA for the financial education workshop. Now, after the workshop is complete, we don't want you just on the workshop and sending people on their way. The goal would be to get the attendees back in for some one-on-one pre-purchase coaching. That's when you can really dig deep and really work on some of the goals that they've identified. Now, with your coaching, again, this is a one-on-one session. You have up to 4 hours here. And here's where you're going to assess progress towards reaching some of the goals that they've identified during the workshop. You'll address future steps to take for achieving and maintaining home ownership. And some topics that you may discuss would be improving their credit score, increasing their savings and/or investments, increasing income through appropriate employment, adjustments of withholding, or seeking and obtaining additional employment, recording and reducing their expenses, measuring their debt-to-income ratio. Finally, this is a discussion around purchasing a home. So billing here is going to be $100 per hour up to a max of 4 hours. You must bill in 1 hour increments, and you're going to submit a copy of the CHCI face-to-face invoice for each session. Okay, so not only do we have this workshop available on the front end, but we also have it available on the back end, post-purchase. So, you may have a database or a list of, a lot of clients that are homeowners, but they still could use financial education, right? And that's, again, the purpose of this workshop. So nothing changes. It's still 6 hours. You still have the same sections. Still must have 7 households in attendance in order to bill. Reimbursement rate is still the same. So nothing really is changed here. It's just now that you have a workshop available for people on the back end, post-purchase. We still want you to get the individuals back in for coaching after the workshop is complete. Okay, you still have 4 hours, one-on-one session. Only thing that's going to be different with the coaching would be the topics. So since these are post-purchase folks, your topics are going to be a little bit different. So here you might talk about setting up a rainy day fund and/or increasing individual savings or investments, eliminating the use of credit cards or lowering the amount of existing debt, reducing dangerous borrowing habits, planning for the predictable life events, college tuition, or death of a spouse, child, or parent. Here again, billing is going to be $100 per hour up to a max of 4 hours, and you must submit a copy of the CHCI face-to-face invoice for each session. Okay, so that is all of the counseling that's available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. So we looked at the workshops that are available, we looked at the individual counseling that you have available, and then we looked at the financial education that you have available under this initiative. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about client file documentation. So first and foremost, you want to follow our CHCI funding policy. That's going to be your main guide as you're putting clients through this initiative. The funding policy is going to basically review everything that I just covered with you, and it's also going to let you know the documents that are necessary for the clients that you're putting through all of the initiatives. So the CHCI funding policy is going to be a very important guide for you. In addition, we put together this chart to kind of help you as it relates to your client file documentation. So this starts with workshops. You see all of the workshops that are available to you. We have listed at the top. And then the items that may be necessary for the workshop are listed on the left. If there's an X, that means that item is necessary. If there's no X, it would not be. So you have your course description and outline, fees associated with the course, evidence of whether the session was a single class or multiple sessions, name of instructor, your sign-in sheet, you have your intake form for each participant, your 3-in-1 or your privacy and disclosure document, you have your self-assessment form, your workshop certificate of completion, any advertisements that were associated with the workshop, and then a copy of your workshop invoice. We've created a similar chart to help you with the individual one-on-one counseling. So all of the one-on-one counseling types we have at the top, and then on the left we have documents that may be necessary. So again, your sign-in date at 3-in-1, your client intake form, your budget, you have your credit report with credit score, copy of income tax returns with all schedules, current pay stubs and bank statements. You have your PHFA referral form 63, your loan estimate, counselor's notes, signed and dated action plan. You have a copy of the pre-closing certificate of completion, your savings plan, copy of the workout packet, urgent notice from the court, documentation paperwork from the court, copy of any modification papers, letters from lender servicers about status, your self-assessment form, PHFA mortgage programs at a glance, and your HUD product comparison. So again, you can use this chart in addition to your CHCI funding policy. It's a great guide for what's going to be necessary to bill these clients to PHFA under this initiative. Okay, on Counselor's Corner, if you click on the Resources and Forms tab, followed by Lender Referral Form, here's where you'll find that Lender Referral Form that you heard me mention, also known as Form 63. So this is the form if you're doing pre-closing, one-on-one pre-closing counseling for somebody that's taking out a PHFA loan. This is the Lender Referral Form that you should get from the lender in order to do the counseling that's necessary. So again, you can get a copy of this right off of our Counselor's Corner site, and it's also referred to as Form 63. If you click on Resources and Forms followed by Miscellaneous, here's where you'll also find a copy of our 3-in-1 disclosure. So this is our main disclosure document that all clients that are meeting with you must sign. So you can see in the first part, you need to check mark the items or documents that you provided to them. Client must sign this form. It gives authorization to pull credit, and it also lets them know that we do keep their information confidential. And then this is the second part of the form that must be completed. So again, the most updated 3-in-1 privacy and disclosure form can be found on our Counselor's Corner site. Okay, and then we do have a copy of all of our certificates on Counselor's Corner for your use as well. We also advise that you use the ARCS Office system. For these certificates, if you use ARCS Office, they're pre-filled for you. So it makes it a little easier as you're providing these to your clients. So within ARCS Office, you can get them pre-filled. If you are looking for the manual version, you can get the manual version off of Counselor's Corner. Here's a slide that really summarizes all of the different counseling, the workshops, and the one-on-one counseling that I went through with you. Here you can see the amount of money that we'll reimburse for either the workshop or the individual counseling. And then we also list the number of hours that you must spend on that particular counseling type. Also, you heard me mention several videos that are necessary during some of the sessions and handouts as well. So here's a slide here that really sums up where you can find the videos or the handouts. You can get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation off of the Counselor's Corner site as well. So if you just want to copy these links, it'll take you directly to where you need to go to, again, get a copy of any of the videos or handouts. So briefly, payment and billing instructions. All clients are due to us, or all billing is due to us by the 5th of the following month. So any clients that you see in May, your billing will be due to us by June 5th. Any clients you see in June, billing will be due to us July 5th. You want to make sure you're submitting all invoices and corresponding spreadsheets securely using our secure email system. Okay, now we're going to talk briefly regarding the HUD certification of individual housing counselors. So HUD did institute a final rule stating that any agency that is receiving HUD funding that is doing housing counseling, their counselors must be HUD certified. So what that means is there's a test that all housing counselors must take. It's a 2-hour timed exam, consists of 90 true or false, multiple choice questions, and it covers 6 major counseling areas. So you have financial management, property maintenance, responsibilities of home ownership and tenancy, fair housing laws and requirements, housing affordability, and the avoidance of and response to rental and mortgage delinquency, avoiding eviction and mortgage default. Cost for taking the test is $60 if taken on HCA equipment and $100 if using an outside testing site. Can be taken as many times as needed, and there is self-study available on the HUD website. So PHFA requires the HUD certification of any staff member employed by our CHCI network that provides direct housing counseling, oversees group education. So if you're doing direct housing counseling or overseeing group education, you must be HUD certified. As of this writing, HUD requires the test to be passed once, and there's no recertification. The certification is valid only as long as the staff member is working with a housing counseling agency or other HUD-approved agency. If the staff member leaves, the certification is suspended until the staff member begins working with the new HCA or HUD-approved agency. The HCA must advise HUD and PHFA within 2 weeks of the staff member leaving. And HUD requires staff hired prior. So the certification date has passed. So they extended this to 2021. But as of 2021, anyone that's providing direct housing counseling or overseeing group education must be HUD certified. Now, PHFA does help some when it comes to the reimbursement. So if you are one of our HUD grant recipients, if you receive HUD funding from us, we will reimburse you for the time spent studying for the exam, time spent taking the exam, up to 2 hours, and also the actual cost of the exam. If you are not one of our HUD grant recipients, if you just are in our CHCI network, there is an allotment that's allocated to your agency that you can use part of this to actually be reimbursed for the cost of the exam. So that is those are the financial benefits that we have here on the table to assist with the HUD certification. And that brings us to the end. So to review here what we discussed, we talked about the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative and the purpose of it, why it exists. We went through the workshops and the individual one-on-one counseling that's available to you under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Initiative. We looked at client file documents and disclosures that may be necessary. And then we ended talking about the HUD certification. So this concludes our webinar for today. At this time, I want to thank you for your time and your attention. We do welcome your feedback. If you do have any questions regarding any of the information covered, my information is listed here on the screen. Please, now you can take the knowledge check that's associated with this webinar. And once you complete the knowledge check, you will hear from one of our program coordinators. Thank you all for your time. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.